So I'm showing several works in the exhibition. There's the work behind me is an untitled work that I made specifically for the exhibition here at MUCA. And it's an image of an Indonesian woman from a Dutch colonial photographic archive that was part of the Tropin Museum's photographic collection. And I've kind of worked with a set of these images, early 20th century anthropological images, and altered them with signifiers that relate to kind of our modern understanding of terrorism. So often the figures become weaponized, or they are carrying or wearing suicide vests, or in this case she's holding 2 grenades in her hands, and kind of has a bit of like a saintly pose, kind of offering them. Yeah, a lot of my work deals with looking at the European history of representing the rest of the world. So I'm often looking at archives in the Netherlands or Germany or the UK, and looking at historical representations of non-European people. But the reason I'm doing that is not to talk about the 19th century or the past as much as it is to talk about and to also understand the present. So for me, they're kind of a point of reference, these historical images, to look at and understand the present moment. So the war in Iraq or in Afghanistan, modern imperialism, what that looks like. And so I'm kind of trying to bridge a kind of temporal gap of these, yeah. I think we often have certain narratives that we live with that were very modern, that were very different than our ancestors, that the technological advancements of our century have made us fundamentally different. And what I see from looking at historical images is I see a constant repetition of a type of representational violence that I continue to see in the mainstream media. And so for me, it's just a very fundamental way of looking at the world. So I don't make a difference between the past and the present in the way that we're traditionally asked to make. I'm talking about this kind of visual project that went along with colonialism and imperialism that still is in existence. And that is a way of defining reality for the vast majority of the world. And I think that's something that we're very much subject to as contemporary people. I'm trying to interrupt the visual logic of this representational violence. And that interruption can use humor, can use beauty, can use a lot of different strategies. But I think that what I most am trying to do is I'm trying to create a very primal and visceral reaction in the viewer that is kind of based on emotion rather than an intellectual process. So often the subjects that I'm dealing with are political, but the way I'm working with them is not the conventional methodology of political art.